Rain drizzled down the courthouse windows, soft and steady, as 22-year-old Marissa Porter sat on the hard wooden bench clutching her worn purse. Her hands trembled slightly, not from the cold, but from the weight of everything she'd been carrying for months: unpaid bills, overdue rent, the ache of exhaustion that came from being both sister and mother before her life had truly begun. Her little sister, Lily, sat beside her, kicking her feet gently against the bench, hugging her threadbare teddy bear close. The bear's fur was matted from years of comfort, and one button-eye dangled loose, but to Lily it was still perfect. Marissa glanced down at her. "You okay, baby?" she whispered. Lily nodded, her big brown eyes darting toward the double doors that led to the courtroom. "Are they gonna be mad at you?" she asked softly. Marissa forced a smile, brushing a strand of hair from Lily's face. "No, sweetheart. It's just a talk. We'll be fine." But her voice wavered. In her purse was a folded court notice with bold black letters: City of Providence Municipal Court, failure to pay fines. 3 unpaid parking tickets. $275. To anyone else, it might not have seemed like much, but for Marissa, that number had grown into an impossible mountain. She tried to pay one, then Lily got sick. She tried again, then the electricity bill doubled. Each time, life had a way of knocking her back down. When the bailiff finally called her name, Marissa Porter, her heart jumped into her throat. She stood quickly, smoothing her jacket, and reached for Lily's hand. Together they walked toward the courtroom doors, their footsteps echoing against the polished tile. The room was smaller than she imagined, with simple wooden walls and a few rows of benches. At the front sat Judge Frank Caprio, his gentle face framed by silver hair, his reading glasses perched on the end of his nose as he reviewed a file. Cameras from the local TV station were set up in the corner, recording another session of Caught in Providence. Marissa swallowed, trying to steady her voice. "Good morning, Your Honor." Judge Caprio looked up and smiled warmly. "Good morning, Miss Porter. And who do we have here?" Marissa looked down at Lily. "This is my sister, Lily. I didn't have anyone to watch her." "That's quite all right," the judge said. "She's welcome here." Lily gave a tiny wave. "Hi, Judge." The whole courtroom chuckled, and Judge Caprio smiled wider. "Well, hello to you too, young lady." The tension in Marissa's chest eased just a bit. The judge adjusted his glasses, flipping through the file. "All right, Miss Porter, it looks like you have 3 unpaid parking citations. 1 for parking in a restricted zone outside a medical center, 1 for expired registration, and 1 for an overtime meter downtown. Does that sound right?" Marissa nodded, her voice catching. "Yes, sir." He looked up. "Would you like to tell me what happened?" She hesitated, her fingers twisting the strap of her purse. "The one outside the medical center. I was late picking up Lily from school that day. My mom had just passed away the week before, and I had to take a double shift at the diner. I wasn't thinking straight. I just parked and ran inside. When I came out, the ticket was there." The courtroom was silent except for the faint hum of the rain outside. Judge Caprio's eyes softened. "I'm sorry about your mother." "And the others?" Marissa took a shaky breath. "The expired registration, I didn't have the money to renew it at the time. And the last one, I was parked downtown while I was at the housing assistance office. They told me it would only take 10 minutes. It took 2 hours." Her voice trembled on the last word. Lily squeezed her hand tightly. "You're 22?" the judge asked gently. "Yes, Your Honor." "And you're raising your sister alone?" She nodded. "Yes, sir. Since Mom passed, there's no one else. I work nights at a diner and clean rooms on weekends. I'm just trying to keep things together." Lily piped up proudly, "She makes pancakes every Sunday." The judge chuckled softly. Well, that's something to be proud of. Marissa blushed, embarrassed and emotional all at once. I'm sorry for missing the fines, she said, her voice cracking. I know it's my responsibility. I just had to choose between paying them or keeping the heat on. Judge Caprio leaned back in his chair, silent for a long moment. His eyes, kind and steady, met hers. Miss Porter, life doesn't always give us easy choices. You're doing your best with what you have. That's something I respect. She blinked away tears, unsure what to say. He removed his glasses, set them on the desk, and sighed softly. I see a young woman who's working hard, raising a child, and trying to do the right thing. The city doesn't need to punish that, it needs to support it. Marissa's breath caught as he continued. So here's what I'm going to do, he said. I'm dismissing your fines. All of them. You owe nothing. Her eyes widened. You mean, they're gone? They're gone, the judge said with a gentle smile. Consider it a little help to get you back on your feet. All I ask is that you keep being the person your sister believes you are, and someday, when you can, help someone else. Marissa covered her mouth as tears spilled freely. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you so much. Lily tugged her sleeve and whispered, Can I hug him? The judge laughed. Of course you can. The little girl ran up and wrapped her arms around his neck, the courtroom melting into soft smiles and quiet sniffles. In that single moment, as Marissa watched her sister and the kind old judge, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time, relief. Not just from the debt, but from the feeling that maybe, just maybe, the world still had good people in it. The sunlight spilled warmly over the streets of Providence, painting the brick buildings and storefronts in shades of gold and amber. Marissa Porter walked hand in hand with Lily, feeling lighter than she had in months. The courthouse and its heavy walls felt like a distant memory, almost like a storm that had passed, leaving a brighter, calmer world in its wake. Lily skipped along beside her, clutching her beloved teddy bear, humming a tune she'd made up that morning. Are we going to see the judge again? Lily asked, glancing up with wide, hopeful eyes. Marissa smiled, squeezing her sister's small hand. No, sweetheart. He's busy helping other people now. But we'll always remember him, right? But he helped us, Lily said seriously. He's like Santa Claus, but in a black suit. Marissa laughed softly. Something like that, she said, brushing a stray lock of hair from Lily's forehead. He gave us a chance to start fresh. They turned a corner and passed a coffee shop where the scent of baked bread and roasted coffee beans filled the air. Marissa took a deep breath, letting herself feel it, the smell of possibility, of ordinary life that had been nearly out of reach. For so long, each day had felt like a balancing act on a tightrope, trying not to fall, trying not to let Lily see the panic in her eyes. Now, with the fines dismissed, she could breathe. She could think ahead. She could dream. Lily tugged her hand excitedly. Can we get pancakes this Sunday, like we always do? You bet, baby, Marissa said, smiling. And maybe we can even try adding strawberries this time. The idea of little changes, small joys, made her heart swell. After months of struggling, little moments like this felt monumental. They passed a notice for a local job training program, an opportunity Marissa would never have noticed before because she had been too consumed with survival. She stopped, reading the poster carefully. Free childcare. Job placement assistance. A stipend to help cover basic needs while training. Her chest tightened with hope. This was more than a second chance, it was a lifeline. By the time they reached the diner where Marissa worked, the lunchtime crowd was beginning to trickle in. She slipped behind the counter, tying her apron and taking a deep breath. Lily ran to her usual corner booth with crayons and paper, already beginning to sketch. I'm drawing you and the judge. Lily exclaimed proudly, holding up the paper. Make sure to draw him smiling, Marissa said with a grin.